Hey guys, what's going on? Thank you for joining us for the Monday Night Football Show. We are here. It is myself, it is Colin, also known as FM Yank, and Ryan. And this week we have a guest. We have the Riga United manager with us. Good evening, Mo.
Good evening. How are
Thank
you?
you. I'm fantastic. Well, it's Riga United and Riga United reserve team manager.
Yep.
Anything else? Are we going with the youth as well?
And third choice goalkeeper and about 10th choice striker, I guess.
There we go. Fantastic. Versatile. That's the word I was thinking
Oh,
of.
you know.
Um, but we're going to start the show by talking a little bit about Riga United before we go into the Premier League. And then Colin's decided he wants to talk about every single league in Europe, it appears, tonight. We have the Bundesliga, the French Serie A, and the Scottish Premier League. And Colin needs to get out the house and stop watching football.
It's important to diversify.
Indeed. So, first season at this level, Mo, and you are currently sitting in 12th place.
That's correct, yep.
I would say, looking at the results, there's been a couple of big defeats, but as you would no doubt say, some of the teams in the division are some very, very good sides, and you've picked up some good victories as well.
Yeah, I mean, in this Riga division that we're playing at this season, there is a big divide between the top maybe 4 or 5 teams that, to be honest, I believe should be playing at a much higher level than what they are. And then there's the little group in the middle, and then there's a group of 4 or 5 teams at the bottom which probably can compete with each other. But yeah, the difference between the top and the bottom in terms of the quality is absolutely huge.
Well, no, the good thing I find about keeping up with Riga United is there's a lot goes on the internet, on YouTube, a lot of footage of the games, which is fantastic to keep up. And you can see some teams Riga have come up against. The quality of the opposition is fantastic. There's some really, really talented footballers. So I think the players for the first season at this level have held themselves well.
Yeah, I agree. I think we always knew the first season was going to be tough. Not as tough as it has been, but we knew it was going to be tough. I mean, the teams at the top, they're physically stronger, physically fitter than what we have been used to before. So that's been a real challenge to get the players up to speed.
I think sorry, go on.
No, sorry, carry on.
I was going to say, I think if anything, this would, as you just said there, the fitness is something you've just mentioned. So is that pointing towards in the off season you're going to be maybe setting regimes for the players to hopefully get them back fitter for next season?
I mean, there's already talk that we might, or we're interested to join a futsal league during the winter just to keep the players ticking over, and hopefully gain some fitness, and so they're ready for by the time pre-season starts. In January?
That's a fantastic idea.
I mean, we need to be. I mean, futsal is slightly different. I understand that, and it's a little bit heavy on the knees, a little bit heavy on the ankles, but also it improves your technique as well as your fitness.
Well, it's definitely going to keep them fit, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's the plan. But I think, I mean, this season we were hit with a lot of injuries. I mean, really dreadful injuries. I mean, half the squad was missing most of the season with injuries. But then again, because the other teams are fitter and more physical, I think that's affected us a bit more. So we now know what we need to do for next year.
I think the name completely slips my mind now, which is quite embarrassing, but he did have a serious injury, and then miraculously within a week he was back on his feet.
Yeah, Julian. Actually,
Julian, yeah.
He played his first game today. We had a cup game today.
Ah, fantastic.
And he's back. This is the first game he came back to Riga from recuperating in Germany for over the summer. And he came back today, so he had 45 minutes today, so he looked good.
And what I will say is, I think most people will know who Riga United are from past shows where Richard comes on. He's actually with us again tomorrow night.
Yeah.
But the diversity, and as you say, Julian was away in Germany. The amount of different nationalities in the squad, no doubt at times it can cause issues, does it, with communication, or do you always find a way to deal with that?
No, communication is pretty okay. I mean, everyone speaks English. The main language of the club is English. Of course, some players' English is not as good as others, but majority, I mean, we communicate very well. They know what they need to do.
Ah, fantastic.
Yeah, going back to nationalities, I think we have over 17 different nationalities in the squad.
It's just crazy, isn't it? It's crazy,
Yeah.
but it's fantastic. I was actually saying to Richard today, I think for the 10th time maybe, I actually watched the documentary again today. I'm becoming addicted, Colin.
It is a good film. I will give you that.
It just makes you appreciate how clubs are formed and stuff. What I actually want to mention as well is Riga Reserves have just finished the season in the regional division, and they actually came second for the second season in a row. And obviously, congratulations to yourself for that.
Thank you very much.
But also this week we saw something very special.
We did.
I'm going to put on the screen for people who are watching this now. So Kareem Guruglu,
Almost.
how was that?
That was not bad.
People will see on the screen now the goal, and it'll come up in slow motion in a second. I mean, this was absolutely beautiful. Here we go, people. Slow motion, eye on the ball, beautiful. No doubt Mo was in the dugout just applauding that, were you?
Oh, mate, I was screaming at the top of my voice when that went.
You were just looking around for the camera going, did you get it? Did you get it?
But saying that, he actually done something similar the week before.
Ah, nice.
So this is not the first.
So he's definitely got talent for the spectacular.
Yeah, this one was more of overhead kick, a direct overhead kick. But the one he scored the week before against Lilleloper in the reserve team was more. Remember the Wayne Rooney goal against Man City? More of a scissor kick.
Yeah.
Yeah, he scored that the week before, so he's got it in his locker.
Nice.
And today he scored a hat trick. So.
Oh, nice. He's on fire.
Yeah, we still lost, but he scored a hat trick.
I will say on the Football Manager save, he was a goal machine. So.
I mean, this has been our biggest problem this season. I mean, Kareem, as you can see, the quality he has, and he's been out the whole season.
Oh, so
he's only recently come back from quite a serious illness. So, I mean, it's great to have him back. And I mean, that's the quality that we've been missing. I mean, I'd love to think what we could have had this season if he'd have been available for the whole season.
Can I assume you have stolen his passport so he can't leave?
Well, I've stolen his registration form because I'm getting a lot of calls from other teams wanting to sign him up. But
I bet.
I mean, that's the biggest challenge. Also, we need to keep him for next season as well. That would be a big challenge for us. So
Yeah,
if we
definitely.
keep him and build around him as well, I mean, this is the kind of players that change games for you.
Yeah, definitely. There's a couple of questions for you now, just before we go over under the Premier League and stuff. The first question which Ryan wants to put you is just how did you get into football management?
I kind of stumbled into it a little bit, actually. I was managing the team, but not at this current status where we are, like 11-a-side in National League, about 3 or 4 years ago. Because I've been with Riga United for over 7 years now.
Okay.
And I managed we had a tournament, a summer tournament, which I managed. It was an 8-a-side tournament, which we came third out of 24 teams and narrowly missed out on getting to the final on the penalty shootout. But I still wanted to play. So I decided maybe management can take a break for a couple of years because I still thought I had something to offer the team. But no, last season our coach left. And there was a vacancy, and I just thought, my playing days are over. I got to be honest. I mean, I can't contribute in the playing capacity, but I can contribute on the coaching and managing side of things. So, I stepped up along with Graham, who's my assistant, and he's been helping me out a lot as well. And it's a learning curve as well for both me and him. So it's been a big learning curve this season, which we hopefully can build on for next season.
Is that Mr. Williams?
That's correct, yeah.
See, I'm knowing everybody.
I mean, you know the setup.
Yeah, he was my assistant manager in the end.
Yeah.
Now, situation which Ryan's actually having at the minute, which we can kind of put to yourself because of how Riga United started. Ryan, do you want to just ask him that?
I haven't got the notes up, but how do you manage to keep all the team together? It's more related to that. I've got a friendly tomorrow, 9-a-side team. I've got 7 players. How do you keep all the team together up to now?
It's not easy, I tell you that. Especially with Riga United, we have a lot of foreign players, so they come and go. Especially students, they're here and they're here studying, but they go home for the summer. I mean, at the start of the season, we have 35 people at training. I mean, over the summer, we were having 8 or 9.
Oh.
So, I mean, my tip to you is make a close Facebook page of every member of your squad and just text them constantly. I mean, some players I have to call, text, go and pick them up from home, drag them out of bed, clean kit, I mean, as a manager, you have to do these things, especially for an amateur club as well. So, and just also be their friend. That also helps because when you're talking to them as a manager, sometimes they revert, they listen to you more if you're also their friend as well, and you kind of understand that they have to work or they have to go to school or stuff like this. So some players that aren't going to be there the whole time. Other players you're going to have to kind of convince. Plus, also, I try and give them as much information in advance. So I send them a list of 2 or 3 games in advance and the dates and the times, so they know exactly when the game time is, what day, where, and then that gives them a bit of flexibility to get time off work or time off school or whatever they might need to do.
There you go, Ryan. There's some advice for you going forward.
Just be organised and give them as much.
Don't worry, he's definitely pretty organised.
Give them as much pre-warning as possible because these guys, they do this for fun. It's not their livelihood. So I mean, they have their work and they have their school. So you have to kind of give them that time. You have to understand as well. I mean, some players do have work, so you can't be too harsh on them if they have to work. They need to earn a living.
Ryan's loving this. That a football manager's actually just told him to be organised. He's now got more of an excuse to do it.
But also, you got to work hard as well, mate. I mean, it means as a manager, it doesn't mean. I mean, a lot of my players think I just turn up and pick the team and tell them how to play. But that's just the easy bit. My missus is almost going to leave me because every time I come home, I've got a big bag of washing she's got to do with the kit and chasing after licenses and chasing after players and emailing them and Facebooking them. And, it's a lot of stuff, dealing with the federations, dealing with the referees, writing letters about red cards. And, so it's a lot of work.
Definitely we'll keep you busy, Ryan.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you'll be fine.
Good luck.
I think the next final question to put across is what's your biggest achievement as manager of Riga?
Well, I'm hoping my biggest achievement is yet to come. It's still early days because I've only really managed the team for this year, and I don't think we've really achieved. We achieved stability this year. We've achieved going into our higher league, so if that could be seen as an achievement. But keeping the squad together, keeping the players together, and building on that for next season, that'll be the biggest achievement, I think. So if Riga United can kick on next season, then hopefully in 12 months' time we'll have the same conversation and the same question, and I can give you a better answer where we've actually achieved something good together.
Promotion.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. I just want to, before we actually move on, just a quick shout out. I know that you want to praise the women's team. They've had a fantastic run this year. Yeah,
I mean, we're not just a men's team, as you know. I mean, the structure of the club is quite deep. I mean, we have a youth system where we have over 60 youth players, and also a big shout out to the youth players who took part in some of the reserve teams this season as well. So it's a development for them also to step up to first team because they're our future.
It's a good sign of what's to come.
Yeah, of course. And also the ladies team, which Justin looks after. I mean, they've given us a lot of publicity as well. There's not many ladies teams out there, but of course, since the last World Cup and also probably before that, the Olympics with the women's team, I mean, that's given women's football a lot of publicity. And I think that women's football is actually going to grow over the next maybe 4 or 5 years. But in terms of Riga United ladies, they've got a big game on the 10th of September in the semi-final of the cup. So
yeah, definitely.
We're definitely, all the boys are going to be behind them. We're going to be down watching the game. We got a little friendly against them tomorrow.
Don't hurt them. Okay, so now we are going to talk about the Premier League column. Now, the first game we're going to talk about is Newcastle versus Arsenal. A game me and you both were obviously watching as Newcastle fans. Do you want to give your thoughts on the 1-0 defeat at home?
Do we have to talk about it?
It would be nice. I mean, what were your thoughts? I mean, I think we've got to start with the sending off.
Yeah, dicey. Couple inches higher, I think it's a guarantee, but anytime you're up there like that, you're running a huge risk about getting a card or getting the red on there. So I can't necessarily fault the sending off. I think, stupid, unnecessary, created a problem. I thought McLaren's statement after the game of the crowd at St. James's Park plus 11 guys on the pitch and Newcastle could be a dangerous home team um, was both a really nice and encouraging statement, and I think very in line with what we saw. I think it was also a pretty hefty shot at what Mitrovic there for his stupid card on that one. I think it just comes down to you got to keep your head on. If you're going to put yourself in that position, you run a serious risk of getting something, of taking the card, and now you put your team in a real crap spot. So I thought they played well. I think I know a lot of Arsenal fans cry, "We need a striker. We need a striker. We need a striker." I'm not necessarily convinced a striker is entirely what they need. I think it's more creativity. It's a much more creativity issue. They're not really breaking anything down. There's not good cycling. I don't see good clear cut chance generation that's coming out of it.
I mean, personally,
it's sort of my take.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan, I don't know what you think, but I do think Arsenal are the commentators have all said it. I think it's literally going over what everyone has said many times. The central midfield partnership isn't strong enough, Ryan.
No, I think it's like you say, Newcastle are very take their time. They're too ponderous with their play. They need to be more aggressive. But as soon as you lost Mitrovic, which I'm 50-50 with the sending off, because I don't think the intent was to stand on. I forgot who he stood on now, but I don't think the intent was there. So possibly sending off, possibly not. But once you lose him, because he is a brilliant player and he showed it against Man United, he's got that attacking intent. Once you've lost that, you're struggling.
I think I don't know about yourself, Mo. Did you see the game live, or have you seen the highlights of it?
I watched it.
No,
I watched.
There's been a lot of people more talking about how harsh the referee was. Now, as a Newcastle fan, I came out and actually spoke to a lot of them yesterday via Twitter and stuff, and just I think they kind of have the rose-coloured glasses on because the referees, 99% of his decisions were correct. The red card could have been a red card, it could have been a yellow card, so at the end of the day you've got to kind of just accept that and say he needs to calm himself down. But Newcastle was second best at everything. Every second ball we were second best to, every first ball we were second best to, and that's why the fouls were happening. I don't know what your thoughts on it were, like in terms of Newcastle's speed to the tackles and just the game in general.
No, I don't know around about the sending off. 50-50. If I was an Everton fan and it happened to my team, well, I am an Everton fan, but if that happened to Everton, I mean, I would be very disappointed. But I mean, if you do a challenge like that, you're giving the referee a decision to make. I thought the referee could have used common sense after 16 minutes or whatever it was in the game. I mean, he could have made a sensible decision, give him a yellow and let the game, because once Newcastle went down to 10 men, I thought it was game over, to be honest, especially against a team like Arsenal, who weren't that convincing, to be honest with you. I mean, they kept the ball well, but they didn't really do much, created a few chances. But I mean, Arsenal, 3 goals in 4 games? This is not Arsenal style, really. They score a lot more goals, but I thought Newcastle were very unfortunate. I mean, with 10 men against a quality team like Arsenal who keep possession of the ball, you're facing an uphill struggle.
I thought we did well to keep it to 1-0, considering how sloppy we looked in the terms of our tackling and stuff. What I will say is, Ryan, do you think the referees already are kind of seeing it Mitrovic and just kind of, bad tackle again?
I think referees, they do it with all players that have that aggressive reputation. They did it with the likes of Roy Keane, with Vieira, Rooney, who's known, well, he's calmed down recently, but he can be aggressive. So if you get that reputation, referees will be on the lookout for you, and as soon as you make a bad challenge, they know he's an aggressive player. Could he get worse in the game? Oh, send him off.
Yeah, exactly. We're moving to the next game, which was Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 2. Very frustrating to see Sunderland get a point. I think they scored a beautiful free kick from MV. I'm surprised he didn't get himself sent off. He's actually doing something useful. Lee Cattermole again giving away a penalty. I mean, that guy is not Premier League standard. I mean, do you want him a Riga, or would you even reject him more?
I think he's a liability, if I'm honest.
He just, I don't understand why he went straight into the back of him, and then he looked shocked when the penalty was given. It's just, I mean, right.
I think. Yeah.
Sorry, what did you say, Mo?
No, I was just going to Cattermole's probably should take up rugby rather than football.
I think it's maybe best for him because I think he's just a bit too aggressive. And I do think that style of player is going to definitely struggle a lot more because every single year they clamp down on the harder side of football and they kind of, to an extent, ruining it. But then in terms of that specific challenge, it was just stupid. There's no reason to barge over the top of somebody like he did. So for that specific tackle, it was a penalty. But in some other terms, the way he goes into tackles, I think they are a bit over the top, Colin. I don't know if you agree that they are clamping down a lot more and kind of taking that type of play out of the game.
I guess I would say more at the. I think I see it more at the European top league level. I don't. It's not quite the same. You know, MLS is still a fairly physical league. There's a lot of, and I don't want to say sort of pushing and shoving per se, but it's a much harder tackling, more physical league. So I don't think it's universal. I would agree with you. I think in sort of the upper echelons of Europe, there's been a little more clamping down, and I think there's a lot more of the guys looking like they get shot and then popping right back up thing that goes on, which can't, it doesn't make a ref's job any easier. If you're watching a tackle, you see it looks dicey from your vantage point. The guy looks like he gets shot, and then you make a call, and the next thing you know, whoop, he's back up as if nothing ever happened. That kind of stuff certainly makes it's already the job that they have to do.
I think that is going to come up in a game a bit later on, which a tackle I want to mention. But the next game, Ryan, was Bournemouth 1, Leicester 1. Obviously, Bournemouth going into the international break with 4 points in the first 4 games. English players atop the Premier League scoring charts at the minute. Wilson with a fantastic hat-trick last week. Again, this week he's played well.
Yeah, Coventry lad as well. I've got to get that in there.
Yeah, you have to chuck it in.
Well, I have to. I think personally, I think he should have been in the England team. I don't know if anybody else agrees. I mean, you got to look at who we're playing. San Marino.
I don't
Why not
agree,
chuck him in there?
I think.
Why not chuck him in there?
I think if he continues to score, then you can't say no because at the end of the day he's earned his chance. But a couple of weeks of scoring, I think he needs to do a bit more before you get that chance to play for your national team. But I do see what you're saying. If he continues doing this, then yes, he definitely should be in. But we're just going to go down more. The next game was Chelsea 1, Crystal Palace 2. Jose Mourinho is definitely struggling there at the minute.
No, I have to agree. Something is seriously wrong with Chelsea this season. 9 goals conceded in 4 games is very unlike them. I mean, I can see why they're after John Stones. They definitely need to shore up the defence somehow. Personally, I think John Terry's on last legs. You can see a little bit last season he was wobbling. This season might be the kind of nail in the coffin for him, I think. But I also think Mourinho has played it a little bit wrong this season. He had this controversy with the doctor thing coming on against Swansea. Made a right issue of that.
Yeah.
And then again, the red cards. He's making issues. I mean, he's talking about everything else apart from football, which I think is taking a little bit of the focus away from what they should be doing and what they should be concentrating on.
One thing I noticed this week was his interviews. Now, as you say, he always does it. We all know as soon as he starts playing bad, he'll drag it away from the fact that the likes of Fabregas and Matic looks terrible. He takes the pressure away from the players almost. But What I was going to say was, when he was in Spain, he always spoke about how amazing his relationship with the English media was, and sometimes you wonder if he seems to forget the actual relationships, because now he's treating English media like shit. They ask him a question, he goes, "I'm not telling you," and it's just like, what? You've got to give us something. Every question he got asked the other day, he just replied, "I'm not telling you," and it shouldn't. I just think, as you say, he's playing things wrong. I think he's causing them to kind of focus on Chelsea more, and I think it's getting to the players where in the past maybe he could shelter the players from this, and they might come through that. I genuinely think they are going to struggle. And like you say, Tiri's on his last legs. I think Matic doesn't look as good. They're playing Fabregas far too deep. I mean, it's so clear he can't defend, and yet they're still trying to sit him in that hole. Hazard is nailed on the left side. They're not giving him any freedom. Pedro looks like he's going to be a good signing, but as Ryan has mentioned in the past, Costa looks like he would much rather have a fight than actually play football with somebody. They need to sort themselves out. I don't want to talk about Palace too much because I can't stand the manager. But no doubt we're going to have to let Ryan just mention how Pardew's doing. He seems to be doing something right for once.
Well, yeah, he's doing well with what he's got. He's signed Kabay as much as Jake, who's listening, and Paul won't like it. Colin also won't like it as a Newcastle fan, but to get a win over Chelsea, he's obviously doing something right.
And I saw a stat on English TV at the weekend. The last 7 managers to beat Jose Mourinho, all surnames began with the letter P. So there's an interesting fact for you to go to sleep on tonight, Colin.
Now, I was actually listening to an interesting article or an interesting conversation this morning driving to work on Crystal Palace as being very representative of a lot of what seems to be happening in England, especially with the transfers. I think you can make a pretty good argument that the top teams haven't been as effective in transfer windows and player development, where you get these teams that are, that 7, or 6 through like 10, 11 range are really developing good, strong teams and are getting a lot more credible. They're getting in there, playing the big guys tough, getting credible victories and really credible results out of it, without having to put the same, quarter of a billion euro or pounds into the team. They're getting good, credible results, and sort of the parity in the league is evening out.
It's what makes it the best league in the world.
Right now, by coefficient, it's number 3.
Don't listen to that crap. It's whoever can play FIFA and stuff the most. The next game we're going to talk about more is Liverpool 0, West Ham 3. Now, you spoke about writing letters to referees. If you were West Ham manager and you saw Noble sent off for that, I assume you would be writing a very angry letter.
That was very harsh. I mean, I didn't even think it was a yellow, to be honest, if I were you.
It actually stopped, hadn't he? And he kind of just flicked his toe to get the ball. It was dreadful.
It goes back to the comment Colin was making earlier. I mean, you just have to touch a Premier League player now and they're rolling around and falling over and whatever. And I mean, I didn't see the intent. There was barely a touch on the player, and that was very harsh.
Yeah, definitely. The game itself, obviously, Coutinho got sent off, which it's unlike him, but obviously mouthing off to the referee for the first one, which you can kind of agree with. I mean, I think it's annoying that they give yellow cards so simple now. I mean, he was obviously disappointed with the decision. You can't really speak to the referee. No one knows what was said, but you've seen in the past referees give yellow cards when the player's literally just questioning what's happened. So I would love to know, did he swear at him, etc., or was he literally just continuing the argument about it? Because I think it's harsh to give him a yellow. I don't know if you, as a manager, would you like your players confronting or even just discussing with the referee, or do you tell them to walk away?
No, I mean, there's been a couple of times this season where I've actually approached the referee at half time and asking them to justify the decision, and I'm told to walk away. I really thinking, okay, I can understand referees are human, mistakes, or they see something maybe that we don't see that they've got to give. They know the law of the game, but I really think that referees need to come out and justify their decisions, because then, I mean, it'll let managers know or players know what's expected or what's wrong or what's right. Because I mean, because referees right now they're in this bubble where they're protected, where they don't have to come out and justify anything. So I don't see what harm it will be if after each game they interview the referees like they do the managers and the players, and the referee can just explain what he saw. And then I think everyone will not. I don't think anyone will be upset about that.
I definitely agree with that. I would think you do as well, Ryan. That you can interview the referee comes out and he says, look, he got the first yellow card because he used more swear words than there's in the dictionary. For example, instead of it being completely unknown what happened or why he was yellow carded.
Definitely. I think some referees they don't think before they're given these yellow cards.
I think the second yellow card he was done by skill. It's definitely yellow. As he went to ground, he took the guy out. Yellow card. So it's just, I think he's going to miss the Manchester United game now, which I think it ruins the spectacle of the Premier League, because Coutinho is one of them players who could have created something in that game, and I think that's what annoys me, especially if they win, because then Ryan won't shut up about it. Just want to pick out Liverpool's defence before we move on, Colin. I genuinely feel sorry for the likes of Lovren, because there seems to be mistake after mistake. He genuinely can't just clear the ball into Rosette. They seem to think they have to try to play the ball out.
Yeah, I struggle a little bit. I can't tell if there's a flaw in Rodgers' system that he's trying to pull with it, or if he's got, if there's something with what the players are doing in it. But it always seems like the impetus is get it recycled and try and go. But the team doesn't seem to be built around that. They seem to be built more at, they would do a lot better, like you said, get the ball cleared, get it out, recycle it for, throw in, get the breather, let things reset, let the lines reset. I don't quite understand why, they're forcing the issue of this sort of constant move, constant press. The team doesn't seem to be cohesive to me, in transition yet. And I think those kind of mistakes that you see from Lovren are very indicative of those sort of transition level issues that they've got. I think they would be much better, taking the break and controlling, playing a more controlled transition game, as opposed to trying to do it rapid on the fly, until they iron some of these bugs out.
Definitely, especially when you got the likes of Benteke up front. I mean, you can just not just boot along all the time, but in them situations, well, he shouldn't even have played to Benteke. He should have gone into Rosette, all back to the goalkeeper first touch instead of dribbling it down the line.
I think if we look at it from Football Manager perspective, they play out the defence to the next level.
Yeah, Liverpool just. It's scary because the defenders are shocking. You genuinely, when you've got defenders that bad, you should say to them, look, if you take more than 3 or 4 touches, you get fined. And they'll soon stop. Just look, sorry, Lovren, but you're dreadful. Stop touching the ball. Every time you touch it, kicked into Rosette, you get a £20 bonus. Move on to the next game. It was Man City 2, Watford 0. Not a lot to say on this. Man City look a lot better side this year. They playing a different tactic, which is nice to see. A tactic which is actually going to work instead of an old 4-4-2 in the Premier League, which can work in different leagues, but not in the Premier League.
No, for sure. I mean, Manchester City are looking very dangerous at the moment. 4 games, 4 wins, 10 goals, none conceded. I mean, can't get more perfect than that, can it?
No,
I mean, even at Goodison when they played us last week, I mean, we tried, but we just couldn't even get close to them. And they always seem to have that second or third or fourth gear that if it's not going, they just switch a gear and they score a goal.
Yeah.
I mean, in all honesty, I know it's very early in the season, but watching United, who have been kind of struggling a little bit, but getting results, which is a sign of a good team. Arsenal, I've not been so impressed with. Chelsea, I've not been impressed with, but Man City already look like the team to beat this season.
I think one thing that will obviously get mentioned a lot at the end of the season if Man City continue is it's no doubt going to be replayed, the interview with Sterling where he said, I've gone to City to win trophies. And people have said, oh no, you've gone for the money. Well, I'm sure when he's holding his Premier League badge and holding the Premier League trophy aloft at the end of the season, it might shut up quite a lot of people who are booing him. Because I think that will show he's gone there to win trophies, and he's done that in the first season. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can continue the form and pick up that Premier League title. But Ryan, the next game was Stoke 0, West Brom 1. Now obviously Stoke ended up with 9 men. The second send off, firstly, we'll talk about, was the Charlie Adam one. I think there's no question about that. Even Charlie Adam, after he did it, he kind of leaned down and kind of went, oh shit, just hands up, just like, oh, I've done it. Yep, I'm gone. I think there's no question. It wasn't a stamp, was it? It was more he kind of left his foot in, then kind of put a bit more pressure on it, Ryan.
Yeah, that angry Scottish nature probably came out in him. The angry beast of
the
Charlie
angry beast of Scottish people. Nice, Ryan. You just will expect some nice comments on YouTube from Scottish people now for that. Colin, are you part Scottish?
No, I'm Irish.
Oh, I was close.
Potato.
Potato.
They're nice people.
So you said you were impressed by Shaqiri at points, Ryan.
Yeah, no one expects him to join Stoke if we look at it, but the 2 games he's played in now, really, really impressive. I think if they go on, Stoke this year, I think they could probably try and get in Europa League. They may not get there, but I think if they carry on the way they are, I don't see why they can't put a fight up. He's
definitely a skillful player, and he's built like a freaking rock as well. Which is going to help him in the Premier League settle in. He's going to be harder to knock off the ball and stuff. And what was your thoughts on the first red card, Ryan?
I'm trying to think back to it now. Explain to me the situation because it's just gone right out my head.
Oh, you're sacked. We'll move on. It was literally a dull game. Saying that we're going to move from one dull game to the next one. Mo, did you stay awake to watch the whole of the Everton-Tottenham game?
I was struggling in that second half to stay awake, and that's not something I normally do during Everton games. It was just a dull game. To be honest, both teams looked just as shite as each other. We shut up shop with the last 25 minutes. I mean, after 25 minutes from the end, we just decided that a point is good enough. And this is against a Tottenham team that haven't won all season. We showed no ambition to try and win the game. Especially in that last 25 minutes, 30 minutes of the game, which is a bit disappointing. Tottenham missed chance after chance. I mean, Harry Kane looks really short on confidence. I mean, that chance one-on-one, my heart was beating when he was clean through. I thought he's going to stick it in the back of the net. But then you see when he took his first touch, he didn't look confident. And Howard stood up, made a good save. But I mean, if you watch Harry Kane's goals in the past, he's more this instinctive striker where the ball, I mean, doesn't have much time and bang, it's in the back of the net.
Yeah.
But if you give time, he seems not to really know what to do. So I think he's just more instinctive striker. But I mean, he's still a good. I mean, he's a very good player. I mean, he had a pretty decent game actually. But in a dull game.
I think as long as the Tottenham fans stay off his back and just give him that time, he'll start scoring this season as well.
Yeah, I think they will.
Yeah, the next game, Colin, was Southampton 3, Norwich 0. Bit of a turnaround for Southampton. They haven't started overly impressive. They got knocked out of Europe in midweek, and Norwich have started fairly well, so this was a bit of a shock. Is Colin gone?
I think Southampton. I think Southampton, quality-wise, over where Norwich is in this one. I think. Yeah, I'm here. You there?
Colin, your signal has gone very, very bad. We'll try to get you back. Ryan, what was your thoughts on the game?
We're talking about the Southampton game, yes?
We are, yes.
Yeah. very good game for Southampton. I think it's been a change because they've not started very well this season, but Norwich have started quite well. So it's quite surprised to see Norwich play as bad as they did in that game, but Southampton, they absolutely controlled that game.
I missed that game, so I can't give much thought on it. It was one game I did miss. But the next game I did see, Ryan, which was Swansea 2, Man United 1. Now, I don't want to laugh at you too much for this, because Newcastle don't exactly win many either. But 3 matches in a row, you've lost to Swansea.
Yeah, they're becoming Man United's bogey team.
What was your thoughts on United as a whole? I thought after the Club Brugge, I thought you genuinely would turn Swansea over, confidence high, but I don't think at any point you looked completely in control. I think Rooney genuinely looked like he was struggling again, Ryan, which was a bit of a shock. I really thought he would have come in with a lot of confidence after midweek. Depay genuinely looked like he was overwhelmed by the quality of Swansea. And when he got the ball, he seemed to rush it, if you know what I mean, Ryan, I thought for Depay.
Yeah, I don't think in the Premier League, Man United haven't looked dominant in any game so far this season. So we're hoping that whoever comes in today, tomorrow, that we can try and push on, have a bit more attacking intent to the play, because it's very ponderous and slow. Nothing's coming into the box. Rooney's playing up front. He's got no support. So who knows? If this French kid comes in, as much as we may pay 36 million, 58 million, 80 million euros, which I'm now hearing, if he scores 20 goals, then I'll be happy. I'm not paying the money, so if he does well, then what can I say?
It's one way to support your team. I'm not paying the money, whatever.
Well, I don't pay the money.
Sorry, Mo, go on. What was your thoughts on the game? Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it. I just wanted to say 36 million for a 19-year-old French guy that I've never heard of.
Oh, don't say that. I said that to Ryan earlier. He went crazy at me.
I mean, I was reading some stats. He scored something like, 8 goals in 31 games. And, 36 million. And there was a quote from Van Gaal at the beginning of the week where he said, we're not going to panic buy. But, that strikes me as a huge panic buy.
Now, I am going to use my psychic vision and my psychic knowledge to say that Ryan is now going to rhyme a stat off about Wayne Rooney to you. Which he did, because somebody said the exact same thing as you, Mo, on Facebook to Ryan earlier. And he then said what Rooney's stats were at Everton and said, this guy could be good.
Oh, Rooney scored 15 in 67. And this lad has scored 11 in 50, I think. So,
I think at the end of the day, Mo's in the same boat as me. I know nothing about this guy. Now, happily old man, some say he's a person who's under my radar. Now, Colin, you watch the French league a bit, so you knew a bit about him.
Yeah, he's a pretty big guy coming up through the French system, French international. He's got a lot of ties. A lot of people say, the buzz about him is that he's got a very Thierry Henry style to him. I've seen him play some in it. I agree he doesn't have a 30-goal-a-year pedigree coming in right now, but he's 19, and I think the thing that he has, which I think is really most in his favor on that one is, he's going to be a guy I think is good for like that 15-ish goal, but he's got a creative element. And I think when you have a guy like Rooney who's sitting just behind in that advanced midfield slot that he really likes, a guy with that sort of Henry level creativity that also matches some goal scoring prowess, increases his turnover. So if he's good for 15 goals and 15 assists, I think to me it's money well spent.
I think we'll have to wait and see, won't we, Ryan?
Definitely.
Yep, definitely. Great reply.
We've got the potential.
Sorry, Mo, what did you say?
I said we'll put that in the potential file
Yeah,
for
we'll
now.
stick him in the farm to see how he develops. We're going to move on to the
But still,
Bundesliga.
okay.
Now, the first game was Wolfsburg 3, Schalke 0. Now, I watched that game, and Wolfsburg were just fantastic, Colin. Now, I know you're a big fan of German football. So, do you want to run down the scores, Colin?
Sure. So we'll run down the rest of the weekend action. So after the Wolfsburg game, we had Mainz 3, Hanover 0, Stuttgart 1, Frankfurt 4, Augsburg none, Ingolstadt 1, Cologne 2, Hamburg 1, Darmstadt 0, Hoffenheim 0, Bayern Munich 3, Bayer Leverkusen nothing, and then Borussia Dortmund 3, Hertha Berlin 1, and Werder Bremen 2, Borussia Mönchengladbach 1. So for me, Dortmund look like a totally different team than they did last year. And now adding Januzaj in, that's a dangerous looking club. And Wolfsburg and Bayern, that's a pretty potent top three. Leverkusen not far behind in there. So I think they're looking very good at that in the sort of the Champions League reps at that point, and they're going to have some strong Europa League contenders going on in there. Definitely very disappointed at Mönchengladbach and Stuttgart. So yeah, I think Stuttgart, their time is sort of coming up on this one. I think they're going to, they look good for the drop. I mean, it's early, but they've been playing just woefully. Not sure what's going on in Mönchengladbach. I know Richard and I were bouncing back and forth a little bit because he was looking for Bremen to win that game. And I think Bremen looked good for it on the win on that one. But something's broken in Mönchengladbach, and I don't know what it is, but I hope they get it sorted out soon.
There's I can see Stuttgart are definitely struggling. I watched the Wolfsburg game. I also saw the Cologne Hamburg game. What a fantastic game that was. And what I would say is Hamburg missed a golden opportunity. Center of the goal, 2 yards out, and I think he hit someone in Rosette. I don't even know how it's possible. With a golf club, you couldn't have chipped it over. And to make it even worse, Cologne went up the other end and scored pretty soon after. Bayern Munich were dominant. I don't know, do you see much German football more?
I watched a little bit of it over the weekend, not too much though.
But really enjoying it. Go on more.
No, I was just going to say, Wolfsburg. I saw the Wolfsburg game. They looked very strong. But then again, I mean, can you see anyone taking on Bayern Munich in that league? I mean, I still don't see anyone that can actually challenge them. Dortmund look a different prospect this season as well. I'm not sure if Klopp leaving had made a difference, but they seem more confident in the game, in the bits that I saw the game at the weekend. Yes, again, whether anyone can push Bayern Munich closer than they did last season, because I mean, at the moment, I can't see past that.
That's the thing. It's going to be interesting to see, but I think I'm with you. After watching Bayern just tear Leverkusen apart, I can't see it. There's points where Leverkusen win the game, but that's always going to happen. The other team is always going to have a point where you're going to get some football. But Colin, what's the next league, the French league we're going to talk about?
We got French League.
Do you wanna,
so running down the scores.
Yep.
What's up?
Go on, John.
So we'll run down the scores from the weekend. So we have Guingamp 2, Marseille nothing, Caen none, Lyon 4, Lille 1, Gazalec Ajaccio 0, Angers 1, Nice 1, Rennes 3, Toulouse 1, Troyes 0, Montpellier 0, Reims 4, Lorient 1, Saint Etienne 2, Bastia 1, Bordeaux 2, Nantes 0, and then the big weekend match, Monaco nothing, PSG 3. My take, PSG are clearly the cream of the crop. So they asserted themselves pretty heavily in this one against what probably should be their best contender in Monaco. They looked sharp. They looked like you would expect PSG to look. Nice to see Lyon waking up a little bit in that one. with a 4-0 win. It's a game they should have won. It was nice to see them kind of get it back in gear a little bit. Saint Etienne sort of struggling to beat a 10-man Bastia. It wasn't entirely impressive on that one. So I think France lacks a little depth in the table at this point. PSG are obviously a world ahead. But it's still a good league to watch. Obviously, I think it suffers a little bit in the same, as Mo had pointed out in the Bundesliga. Is there anybody who's really going to push PSG in the same sense of, Bayern getting pushed? And I don't particularly see it at this point.
I think we'll jump on as you talked about good leagues to watch. Serie A, which I hate this league. Italian football bores them daylight out of me. But Colin, you've decided you started to enjoy watching some of it. You enjoyed the Roma game.
Yeah, so I ended up. I think the big action for the weekend was obviously Roma and Juventus playing in Rome. I was interested in this one. I caught a little bit of Juve's home loss against Udinese last week, and I wanted to watch a little. I wanted to see a little bit more. Obviously, I did my Champions League article. I picked Juventus to end up bowling out into the Europa League in that group. I wanted to watch what should be a good test early season going into match day 1 for them, just to see what I thought. What I thought they were going to have, and the scoreline didn't reflect the game. I think Roma dominated them for 90 full minutes on that one. I didn't think Juventus looked all that good. I'm not sure where they're going to go from here. Obviously, they've sold a lot. They seem to be building the team around Pogba in the midfield. Is he good enough? Probably. Is he going to stay? I think that's the 100 million euro question on that one. But we'll see where it is. But I think Juventus is in trouble this season. I think the league looks better, but I think Juve is in trouble this year.
There you go. Stay tuned to see if Juve struggle or if they do a bit of a buy-in in the PSG. I assume we'll soon find out. But that's the end of tonight's show. So thanks very much for coming on, Mo.
Thank you very much for having me.
And tomorrow night we are back for a transfer window roundup, Ryan. So I'm sure you're excited to see who United are going to sign.
Hopefully we sign some good players.
He sounds ecstatic. But thanks for coming on, F1. Appreciate you coming along, Mo.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
See everybody